A very good morning, students. Welcome back to our online classes on programming for problem solving course. After your exams, this is our first session. We break the classes because of your external exams. Hope you all performed well in your external exams, and after the exams, this is our first PPS class. And as the university has not given any instructions to start our offline classes, so still we are continuing with online classes only. Yeah, in today's session, we're gonna start your third unit, because in our previous session, before your external exams, we have concluded the second unit with the strings concepts. Okay, we have discussed all string related concepts before your exams, and now we are getting into your third unit. And from now on, every unit, it won't take much of the time to complete, because for your first unit we spent a lot many classes, like 14 to 15 classes we have given to first unit, and second unit it took around 10 classes. So this is our 23rd session, I believe. So from now on, each unit will hardly take like 6 to 7 classes, not more than that. So within a month or so, we will conclude our entire syllabus. Don't you bother about it. So quickly, starting the third unit, we have the concepts like basic algorithms we need to discuss, then functions we need to discuss, and passing arrays to functions we need to discuss. So if you might have seen the question paper of your CSC students, because they have written the PPS exam, it was like a dead easy, I can say. They have, I mean, they have given the paper by keeping this pandemic and everything in their mind. So the paper was dead easy, with minimum knowledge. I mean, if you have prepared unit wise important concepts also, you can easily cover all of the question paper. I'm not saying just pass. You can easily cover the entire question paper, whatever they ask you to do so. Okay, with basic important questions knowledge only. I'm not talking about the thorough knowledge, or I'm not talking about the in-depth concept knowledge. Only with the important question. I mean, the question bank what I have given, it is covering almost the 85%, I can say 85% of your question paper is from my question bank only. So if you prepare that question bank thoroughly, you can easily cover up entire thing. And remaining questions, they have twisted. I mean, I'm not saying that they are not in my question bank. They have just twisted those questions, and they have took my question as a model, and they have framed with different numerical values. So likewise. So coming to your third unit, we need to cover basic algorithms concept, then functions concept, and passing arrays to functions concept. These three concepts comes under your third unit. So we will start with your functions first. We'll not go to the other stuff. First we'll discuss the functions, then we will discuss passing arrays to functions, and finally we'll discuss about this basic algorithms. So in today's session, I will define, I mean, the functions and what is the use of these functions, and what are built-in and library functions, that also we will discuss. And then the types of functions. There are different types of functions based on the parameters and based on the return value, that also we will try to cover in today's session. So after that, in tomorrow's class, hopefully we will discuss this parameter passing techniques, like call by value and call by reference. With that, we conclude these functions. Then we'll go to this passing arrays to functions, and after that the basic algorithm concept. So my camera I have not included in today's video because I'm getting some technical issue with my camera. So hopefully from next class onwards I will try to include that video camera as well in my lectures. Okay, so yes, functions. See, whenever complicated stuff is given to you for the solution, in reality, whatever work we used to do in our day-to-day life, let us take a real-time work of constructing a building. Okay, constructing a building involves many of the activities, and many of the people get involved in that construction process. Construction of the building, in the sense we have to lay the foundation, we have to build the walls, we have to build the roof, we have to build the windows and doors, okay, the interior work, all these things. If you list out how a building will be constructed, you are going to get a lot many steps, isn't it? And for your information, all these steps they will not perform at once, isn't it? Okay, so these steps will be performed one by one, and these steps will be performed by different people, and these steps will be performed separately. Okay, so uh, constructing a building, if we consider that as a complex problem, that complex problem will not be performed as a single entity or as a single work, isn't it? That work will be subdivided into number of works, and each of these subdivided work will be performed separately. Okay, so construction of a building is a complex work, and that work is being divided into many sub works. Like laying the foundation is one sub work, constructing the walls is another sub work, then doing the interior work, it is another sub work, and windows and doors, it is another sub work. Like this, the complex work will be subdivided into a number of sub works, and all these sub works will be performed separately, okay, and by the separate people. So in this is a real time example. In programming also, whenever a complex problem is given to you for the solution, generally what the people will do, or what the companies will do, IT companies will do, in the sense they will subdivide that complex job, that complex work into smaller modules, okay, smaller subworks, and these subworks we call them as modules in our programming terminology. And each of these module will be allocated to a separate party, and that party is responsible for solving that module only. Hope you understood this one. What exactly happening over here? The complex problem, to find the solution, what the company has done, it has been subdivided that complex problem into many different submodules, and each of these submodule we are allocating to a third party, and that party is responsible for solving that module only. Hopefully you understood. So what I mean, this functions concept, it is not new to us. Okay, from the very beginning, I mean from our first program, whatever we have written in our C language, from the first program itself, unknowingly we are using many functions in our programs. So the printf function, what we use to print something on the output screen, it is a function, it is a predefined function. Printf is a predefined function. Likewise, the scanf is also a predefined function. Okay, so yeah, if you read the first point over here, the programs we have presented so far have been very simple. I mean, We have not included the complex stuff, and we have written only the simple programs or very simple programs from the first day of our classes. Okay, they solve problems that could be understood without too much effort. In order to, I mean, whatever programs we have done so far, to them we don't have to pay much effort and we can solve them very easily. But as the program size grows, and it is a common practice to divide the complex program into smaller elementary parts. Yes, obviously, the real-time example, whatever I have given so far to you, I mean, it's stated that only. So whenever a complex problem is presented to you for the solution, what you people are doing, I mean, instead of solving that complex problem as one entity, you're subdividing it. Isn't it? You are subdividing it and you're solving each of the divided part separately. That is the concept of function. Here in C language, in programming terminology, I said each of the subdivided part, we are calling it like a module. But in C language, each of that module will be called like a function. Okay, we call it like a function. Okay, the planning for large programs is simpler. First, we must understand the problem as a whole, then break it into simpler, smaller, understandable parts. Okay, the division we are not doing without following a logic. We are following a logic. So in order to follow that logic, what we must have to do, in the sense, we must have to understand the complex problem as a single entity. First of all, we have to understand the complex problem as a whole, then break it into smaller and understandable units, so that the people who are responsible for solving these modules, they should not feel what we call confusion over there. They must have the complete understanding and they must solve those problems very easily, those small modules very easily. Hopefully you understood. So yes, we call each of these parts as modules in our programming terminology, and these modules we call them as functions in our C language. And yeah, these functions, they give the top-down strategy, top-down design strategy in our C language. So what is top-down design strategy? That when we do, we will understand. Okay, when we exactly write the programs using these functions, there I will explain you what does it mean by top-down strategy. Okay, top-down design. Okay, yes, every function, it is a logical entity. It is going to have some steps. Okay, we are not writing the function without any purpose. Okay, every function, when you are writing, it is going to have a purpose. So for that purpose, it takes some input and it gives some output. I will show you that picture over here. See, function, when we are saying, it is a logical entity. Okay, function is a logical entity. Function is, it is a group of statements. It is going to contain some logic. Okay, so generally, to write a function, I will show you how we do in C language. So to write a function, we must have to give a name to it. So here I am taking the name as function only, and it is going to have some bracket, parenthesis after it. So this is the syntax for writing the function in C language. Like this, it is going to have curly brackets, open curly bracket and closed curly bracket. So it is a block. It is a block of statements. So here we are going to have all our C language statements. Okay, so this is a function, and before the function we must specify the return type. Okay, return type. We must specify the return type. Okay, so this is the basic design or syntax of the function. Okay, this is the basic design of a function. So now we try to understand what is this parameter. Okay, So every program in your C language is a function only, because we are including all the statements inside main function. Okay, so for every program what we are doing, we are giving input and we are taking output. For every program, the program will take input, and according to the statements you have written inside the program, it will generate the output. So here, as we said, every C program is a function only. As it is taking input and as it is giving output, we need to define that input and we need to define that output in functions terminology. So that input, okay, to a function, to give an input, we use this particular area. So this between these two parentheses, this particular area we use, and we call that as parameters to a function. Parameters to a function. Parameters are nothing but input to the function. Input to the function. And this particular area, the return type, is nothing but output from the function. Output from the function. So this output, that is nothing, we also call it as the return value. Return value. Okay, return value. Parameter and return value. Parameter is nothing but input to the function, and return value is nothing but return type is nothing but return value from the function, output from the function. Return value is nothing but output from the function. Parameters input, return value output. Like that you have to remember these things. Hopefully you are. Okay, so every function, it is a logical entity separated from your main function. Okay, it is a logical entity. And why we are separating our program into functions means, because whenever the program becomes complex to solve, okay, complex to solve, we are subdividing the program into number of functions, and each function here in our program is going to have some dedicated job to perform. Okay, so that dedicated job to perform, it will take some input and it will give the output. So whatever input it is taking, in functions terminology we call it as parameters, and whatever output it is giving, in functions terminology we call it as return value. Okay, these things you have to remember, because without these understanding, it is highly impossible to go through this unit. Okay, function, input to the function, parameters, output to the function, return value. And why we are going for functions? Because if the if the problem size grows, if the program size grows, it will become very difficult to maintain the program as a single entity. Because of that reason, we are subdividing the program into a number of modules, and we are calling each of these module as a function in C language. And each function is responsible for performing some dedicated job. And in order to do so, it is taking parameters and it is giving return values. These things you have to remember. And if you're not understanding, try to write these things in your running notes. Okay. Yes, functions in C language. And these functions in C language, they are used, or they are helpful in achieving this top-down design approach. Okay, in C, the idea of top-down design is done using functions only. Using functions only, we are achieving this top-down design idea. Okay, every C program, whatever programs we have written so far, or whatever programs we are going to write further, every C program is made up of one or more functions. It is highly impossible to write a C program without using a function, because whatever basic whatever program we are writing, that entire program we are including inside the main function only, and main is also a function. Okay, so yes, every program, it is having more number of functions, but in every program you must maintain at least one. Okay, at least one, and only one function must be the main function. We cannot use more than one function names as main function. It should be exactly one. Okay, nothing less than, nothing more than. It should be exactly one. There should be exactly one main function in your C program. And if you are using only one function in your program, and that one function should be the main function. Hopefully you understood. The execution of the program, I mean, why we are using this main function in our program, in the sense because it is the idea of the developers to include the entire code inside the main function, and main is responsible for allocating the memory to your program, and main is responsible, and main is the starting point for your execution of the program. The execution of the program always starts and ends with main. Okay, but it can call other functions to do some of the jobs. So from the main function you can call many other functions, but you should include exactly one main function in your program, and main function is responsible for allocating, executing everything in your C program. Okay, all the functions including the main, okay, including the main, is an independent module that will be called to do a specific job. So no two function, I mean, it is completely whenever you are creating a function, it is completely independent of any other function in your C language. It will work independently, it will process the data independently, and it will give the output independently. It is not dependent on any other function. Okay, so whenever a function is called, what will happen? It will receive the control from the calling function. Whoever is calling that function, it will receive the control from that calling function. Okay, control in the sense the CPU power or the CPU execution. Okay, a CPU time we can say, because in your computer, in order to execute a particular statement, it requires the CPU. As you know, all the central activities, all the processing activities will be done by the processor only, the CPU only. So if a function is called, in order to do its activities, because whenever the function is called, what it will do, it will start doing its activities. So in order to do such activities, it requires the processor. So whenever a function is called, what will happen? It is receiving the control from the calling function. Once the control is received, it executes its job, and again after executing its job, what it will do? It will return the control back to the calling portion, back to the calling function, we can say. It is something like an event is going on in your college. Let us assume with an example how these called functions will work in C language. In order to understand that one, I will give you one simple example. Let us take an example that an event is going on in your college. Okay, all the people will gather at one place, maybe the seminar hall, the auditorium, whatever it is, based on the function type. So once all the people have gathered, there will be an anchor who is responsible for organizing the event. There will be an anchor, isn't it? Who will start the event, give the event purpose and other things, isn't it? So what we will consider the anchor as main function, because always the main function will start the execution of your program, execution of your C program. So in that same way, the main anchor in the event, what she will do, he or she will do, he will or she will start the program, I mean start the event, give the important instructions about the event, and after that what will happen? If there are other participants in that event, let us say speakers, or let us say some somebody is doing some shairi, or somebody is singing some song, likewise, or somebody is performing something on the stage, okay, dancing or something else. So likewise, all these are the submodules, or the functions, other functions we can say. So what will happen? The main function, let us say the main function is giving some speech on the dais, and after her speech concluded, what she will do, she has to, I mean, the next event is the shairi event, let us assume. Then what the main anchor has to do? The anchor has to call that person on the dais so that he will give the shairi, isn't it? So what she will do, the anchor, main anchor, what she will do? She will call that person's name, isn't it? She will call that person's name. So and so person, some X person will come on the dais and he will give the shayari. Likewise, she call the X person's name. So immediately what will happen? When the main anchor is calling the X person for shayari, what will happen? She will hand over the mic to that X person, so that the X person will take the control of the dais and he will deliver the shayari over there. Isn't it? So that mic is nothing but your CPU. So as long as the main anchor was active, she was holding the mic and she was giving the speech. But once her speech is over, what she has done? She called the other person, other function. She called the other function to give the shayari. So what is the job of that X person? To deliver the shayari. Isn't it? Once that X person delivers the shayari, what that X person will do? Again, he will hand over that mic back to the main anchor, so that the main anchor will call other functions, so that the main anchor will call the other people for other activities. So in that same way, the main function is responsible for calling different functions, and whenever a function is called in your C language, immediately the control will be transferred from the main function to that called function, and called function will perform its activities, and after performing the activities, the called function will return the control back to the main function, so that the main function will call other functions. So this particular thing you have to understand and you have to remember forever, because in your course of CSC, many programming subjects we are going to study, and for all the programming subjects the functions concept is exactly same. Whether you go for C, C++, Java, your Python, your R, whatever programming language you take into consideration, for all those programming languages, the concept of functions is this one only. Okay. So, yeah, about the main function, we discussed. Yes, this also we have completed. And yes, then who will call that main function? So we said all other functions will be called by the main function, but who will call the main function? In the sense, the operating system. The operating, in every computer we are going to have the operating system. The operating system is responsible for calling the main function, and when the main function completes its action, when the main function completes its action, what it will do? It will return the control back to the operating system, because only the operating system has called the main function. So the control is being shifted from the operating system to the main function, and once the main function completes its activities, again the control, CPU control, will be given back to the operating system only. Okay. So in general, the purpose of a function is to receive 0 or more pieces of data. That is nothing but the parameters. That is nothing but the input. We discussed about it. Okay. So in general, what will happen? Every function in your C language, when it's called, there is a possibility that it will receive 0 or more pieces of data. That means 0, when I'm saying, it is possible, it is also possible that the function may not have any input. Okay, it is not compulsory that every called function should have some piece of input. You can even skip that input by making the parameters as 0. How we do that, we will discuss. Okay, and operate on them. After receiving the input, what it will do? It will operate on that input and it will give the return value. Okay, and it will return at most only one piece of data. It is not possible to return more number of data. It can return at most one piece of data. Remember this one. Input we can have 0 or more. Output it can be 0 or 1. Output it can be 0 or 1, not more. Remember this one. Input you can give more number of values to the function, but output you can receive only one value or 0 value. Okay. So advantage of using functions, there are many advantages we can say. Over here I have listed only 4, but in reality, if you study, if you do the research on these functions concept, you will understand that there are many advantages. But for your exam purpose, we have listed out only 4. Okay. So problems, the complex problem. When I'm saying problems over here, the complex problem can be divided into understandable and manageable steps. So if you maintain the complex problem as a single unity, as a single unit, there is a there will be a confusion in understanding that problem. If the problem size grows, if the program size grows rapidly, the understanding ability of a person will degrade, we can say. He will feel hesitant, or he will feel not so confident in understanding that problem. And once he is getting the confusion from the problem, what will happen? It will become very difficult for him to manage that program, isn't it? Once there is a missing clarity, ultimately what will happen? The stuff will go unmanageable, isn't it? The stuff will go unmanageable. So problems can be subdivided into understandable and manageable steps. Functions provide a way to reuse. So writing once and using many times. Writing once and calling many times. Okay, calling many times. Functions provide a way to reuse code that can be used in more than one place in the program. So once you have written one function, that function can be used in many different places inside your program. No need to write, no need to repeat the code again and again. Remember this one. Okay, so problems can be subdivided so that they can be understandable easily, and so that they can be manageable easily. And functions, they also provide a way to reuse the code. Code reusability will be achieved using functions. And the protection, when you're writing a function, whatever logic you have written inside that function, it will be protected from the outside world. As the local data, the input whatever you are giving to the function, it is completely inaccessible from the outside world. The outside world, it will not have any access to the local data of a function. So that's the reason, with the help of these functions, we are providing a kind of security to our data, to our information, we can say. Okay. Yes, local data, this already we discussed. Local data in a function can't be seen or changed by a function outside of its scope. So there are, I mean, already we discussed the scope of a variable limited to a block, as every function is having a block associated with it. So whatever variables, whatever data you are declaring inside that block, here we discussed that one. See here, this entire thing from here to here, we are calling it a block. It is a block. Block in the sense, it is a collection of statements. So let us say if I am declaring a variable over here, int a. So now this a variable, it is completely protected. Why? Means if somebody wants to access this a variable outside this function, over here, let us say, if I try to access this a variable, can I access? Not possible. You will get an error. If you try to access this a variable outside the function, you will get an error, because the scope of this variable a is limited to this block. Outside this block, we cannot use this variable a. Okay. Then these are some of the advantages. Then user defined functions. See, there are two basic types of functions, or categorization between the functions, we can say, that is predefined and user defined. Predefined means the functions, they have been derived, they have been what we call named. The code for those functions is given by the developers. So if the developers have done all these things, we call them as the predefined functions. Okay, who are doing all the stuff related to predefined functions, in the sense the developers. So here I'm writing, so functions, they are two types: predefined and user defined. Predefined and user defined. So predefined functions, who are responsible for this one? Developers. Developers in the sense the Dennis Ritchie and team, because he only wrote the C language, they only developed the C language, so we call them as developers. So user defined functions, programmers, we can say. Programmers. Programmers in the sense we, because we are writing the C programs. So we are the programmers. So all the user defined functions, who will do the job related to the user defined functions in the sense the programmer. So every function is going to have some like your variables, like your arrays, like your whatever concepts we discussed so far. Three things: declaration, definition, and initialization, we said. But in case of a function, we are going to have function declaration. That is nothing but giving the name. Function definition. That is nothing but specifying the type. Then call. We are going to have function call. So these three things: function definition, declaration, definition, and function call. If all these three things, among all these three things, if two of the things are done by developers, we call them as predefined functions. We call them as predefined functions. If all of these things are done by the programmers, we call them as user defined functions. Remember this one. For a function to use in our C programming, C language, we have to do function declaration, we have to do function definition, we have to do function call. Three things we have to do. So among these three things, if two of them, like declaration, definition, has been done by the developers, we call them as predefined function. The example for predefined functions are your printf, scanf, and all these string manipulation functions, mathematical library functions, string manipulation, mathematical library functions are examples for predefined functions. We also call them predefined functions. We also call them as library functions. Okay, your printf, scanf, string manipulation function, all these functions are examples for predefined. And user defined function, you can write your own function as a example. Okay, because it is defined by the user. So when we write the programs using this functions concept, all those programs are the examples for user defined functions only. Okay, so like every other object in C, functions must be declared, defined, and called. Okay, declared, defined, and called when needed. Okay, the function declarations needs to be done before the function call. Declaration needs to be done, definition needs to be done before the function call. Okay, so the declaration uses only the header of the function and ended with a semicolon. So about this declaration, definition, and calling, we will do a deeper discussion. Okay, we will do a deeper discussion once we get into the actual programming stuff. Okay, so the function definition can be coded after the function call, containing the code needed to complete the task. So whatever function we are using in our C program, that function declaration, it has to come first, and always the declaration will go outside of all the functions. Generally we do the declaration of all our functions, all our user defined functions before the main function. Okay, before the main function, after the header file inclusion, we'll do the function declaration. Once the declaration is done, the calling part generally we do from the main function. So how we write a program? See here, main, like this we write, isn't it? Int main void. So like this we write, and inside this main we write the entire program. Okay, so suppose if I am using a function with name example, like this. So this is the function call. Okay, this is the function call. So the function declaration, it should come before the main function. Example, this is function declaration of void, as it is not taking any parameters. You can see I am not passing any parameters, so parameter type will be void. Okay, the type void we discussed in your second unit, in your first unit itself. Void means no values, no operations. So to indicate that the function is not having any input, the function is not having any parameters, we are using the type void. Excuse me. The type void over here tells the compiler that the example is a function and it is not going to take any parameters. And let us say my function is not having any output also. How to say that one? We will put void as return value. So if the return value is also void, that means the function is not going to return any value. No input, no output. So this is the function declaration. This is declaration. Declaration must come before the main function. And this is the function call. The function call must go within a function, within another function we can say. And main is another function. So the function call will be inside main. Generally, whatever programs we do in C language, we call all user-defined functions from main function only. You can also call the user-defined functions from other user-defined functions. That type of programs also we will discuss, but as a regular practice, we'll not do such a thing. We call all our user-defined functions from the main function only. So what is missing now? The declaration is over, call is over, the definition is missing. The definition generally we do after the main function. So over here we take the return type, then the function name, that is example, and then the parameter list, that is also void, no parameters. Then don't put the semicolon at the end for the definition. Take the curly bracket and put the code and close the curly bracket like this. Okay, so this is your function definition. Function definition. Function declaration, function call, function definition. Okay, so these three things. With this, I will try to show you a simple program. This is our IDE where we write and execute our C programs. So here I am writing one simple program. So hash include, I'm including the header file stdio.h and int main of void, and here printf of hello world. This is my normal program. Okay, normal program I have written. So when I'm saving this program, it will ask me to give some name. So this is itmec ece.c. Program got saved. Now compile it. As you can see, I'm not getting any errors. Errors 0, warnings 0. This is a simple program I have written. So now run it. Yeah, it is giving the output as hello world, as you can see over here. The output is hello world. So whatever message I'm printing using this predefined function printf, that message I'm getting on the output screen as it is. Okay, this message I have printed using my printf function, and that same message I'm getting on the output screen. Okay, now the same thing we will do with the help of functions. So here you come, I'm doing the declaration now. I'm taking the function name as example. Okay, example is my function name, and as you can see, this is my declaration. As you can see, it is not having any return value and it is not having any parameters. So return value, return type is void, and parameter type is also void. Okay, then the function call. How we are doing? Simply give the function name, and if it is having parameters, you have to put those parameters over here. If it is, as it is not having any parameters, I'm not giving any input over there. So this is call, function call. Next, what is missing? The definition is missing. So void function name, that is example, and parameters, that is also void. So here you give that message. So my function, it is not taking any input and it is not returning any output. Rather, it is simply printing a message hello world on the output screen. So you have to understand three things with this basic program. You have to understand three things: how we are doing the declaration, how we are doing the call, and how we are doing the definition. Three things you need to understand. See the function declaration. Function declaration, function name is mandatory. Name you have to give. Then parameter list is mandatory. If you don't have any parameter list, then put the parameter list type as void. Return type is mandatory. Return type, if you have some specific type, mention that specific type. If you don't have the return type, then mention it as void. In my basic example, I'm not taking any parameters and I'm not taking any return type. So that's why I made both as void over here. So no parameters, no return value it indicates. Then this is my main function. From here to here, this is my main function, and inside main function I'm calling the function, user defined function example. So example I'm calling, as it is not having any parameters, I'm not doing anything over here. I'm not passing any input values. As it is not having any return value, I'm not doing anything over here, as it is not having any return value. Then this is call. See, function declaration must be terminated with a semicolon and function call must be terminated with a semicolon. But when it comes to the function definition, as you can see, there is no semicolon at function definition end. Here, neither here nor here. In two places, we are not giving any semicolon. Okay, you have to understand and remember this thing. Then when you are doing the function definition, again you specify the parameter type as void and return value type as void only, because we don't have any return value and we don't have any parameter list. Then inside that function, as it is not receiving anything, inside that function what we have done, we are simply printing a general message, that is hello world message. As you can see over here, I have printed the hello world message over here. Hello world message over here. Hello world message over here. Now again, go to the compiler. As you can see, there are no errors, no warnings. Then run, you will get that same message, hello world message. Okay, so previously we have printed that hello world from the main function, but now we have separated that job and we have given that job to a function, that example function, and this example function now fulfilling that job excellently. Okay, it is printing that message on the output screen. Hopefully you understood how we have done that printing the hello world message on the output screen job from the main function and from a user defined function. So this is the advantage and this is the concept of functions in C language. Hopefully you understood. Okay, so yeah, example also, a simple greeting program using functions I have just now demonstrated. So about the function types, basic function design and basic function types, we will discuss in our tomorrow's class, in our next class, hopefully. Okay, by the time, thank you very much students.